What's going on YouTube? Earth Power here with CVH,
How's it going, guys?
and we're bringing you another Skype thing. So, CVH over there, I'm over here, and
Is the second one they're seeing? Because if so, this is the arrangement on screen that I should have used for the last video, because now I'm actually the same size as Carl.
hooray! Oh man, CVH is going to be uploading this for me at some point, so
Yeah.
that's the thing. But this video is basically to talk about our thoughts on Bracket A and Bracket B, and then the matchups coming up. So, I think we're going to start this video off with a little bit of a discussion on, I guess, the matchups. So we've got Pyle versus Dargans.
Yeah, in the top four, Pile versus Dragons, Lightwater Dark Tempo versus Lightwater Nature Megabug Tempo, as we see on
No,
screen.
that's wrong. Wait, what?
Lightwater Dark Tempo versus Lightwater Nature Megabug Tempo is the other match. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally right. I literally have it on screen and I'm reading it.
Alright.
It can't be wrong.
Alright, yes.
So, and let me see, the decks that didn't make the cut were, and you know, I should be playing like the music from the Hunger Games when they announce all the dead people. Light Fire Aggro, Light Dark Nature Midrange, Light Dark Kalima Control, Mono Nature Midrange, and I guess we'll touch on those in a minute.
Yeah.
But so the first matchup, like you said, Light Water Fire Dragons and the dreaded Pile.
Yeah, so, you were a pretty big advocate for Pyle in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it comes as a surprise that these two decks made it out, because they were regarded as the most powerful, or some of the most powerful in the game's history. Obviously, Lightwater Dark Nature Pile is kind of like the most infamous deck, because it was like, oh, these Kaijudo players just want to run 70 cards, and it's working, and Carl's just looking at his phone, because he doesn't care. He's probably on Instagram. So, but like, I think the matchup is pretty. I mean, I don't think any of these matchups are just like total blowouts, except for like Tempo versus Pile. But I think it's pretty Pile favored, just because Dragons has very limited ways to get by Haven. It has ways, but they're very limited. They're like Cassiopeia, Stormspark, or Bust.
And see, I was on the Dragons train. Like, I just think Dragons can just beat everything. Like,
Well,
even
it does run Finbar.
yeah, it does, and that's what I'm saying. Dragons can play the tempo matchup. He can be mid range. It can be control. Like, it can play the late game because it's just got all the late game threats. Like, it's just literally got everything it needs to play whatever game that it needs to play. And that's why I was behind it. You know, from the get go, I called Dragons winning this tournament. And, you know, now it's made playoffs. It's playing against Pi, which I think is its toughest matchup. But I'm pretty sure we had a dual series, and I think this deck just won. Like, I think it always won. So
I don't know if it won against the Pile. I think there were for a time. This is like a long time ago. There were actually Dragon decks that didn't run Finbar, which you can now see on your screen. It's lovely. It's right there. It's pretty good. It kind of makes, for a deck like the Dragons, it just makes the control matchup winnable. So,
yeah.
like, if we're gonna see Dragons take games, I think Finbar is gonna play a pretty big role in that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's just like an insane card, basically.
So that's how we feel about that. You know, Dragons just as an overall deck. You know, you saw the deck profile. It's really a joy to play against. You know, it's just
Kappa.
it's literally, you know, it's just got so many lines of play. Even if it doesn't have its birds in the beginning, it's still got, you know, the threats of Herald with the little jump jets thingy. It's got Lyra's. Like, it's still got all the good cards. And if it does have the birds, it just does better. It just does more things quicker. So, you know, it's just such a good deck. It really is. And Pile, I guess to talk about that,
That monstrosity.
yeah, that's you know, the 50 card deck actually made it out.
Yeah, I think the thing about these two decks is both of them are trying to do like the most unfair things that you can possibly do. Like, they're both essentially just trying to get the big things out and kill your opponent. Dragons has a faster clock because it has like the birds and Finbars. Like, you know, you play these birds, you get the dragons, you get the draw train roll, and you kill your opponent. And if you're up against an aggro deck, you stall them out instead. But the Haven deck kind of always wants to do the exact same thing every single game. It wants to play some ramp, then it wants to play Andromeda and Haven. It's a wrap.
Yeah. Indeed, that's, you know, that's the whole game plan. We talked about like some of the tools that I think it could have used, and one of those being Stormspark Blast. I think that played a real big role in why some decks didn't do as hot as they could have done in Bracket A, namely the Pile and Light Dark Nature or Midrange. Excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, luckily the Pile made it out, but the mid-range deck Like, it was
Well,
hard to construct for this format.
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, Star Spark Blast, I think, would have played a very big role. It's a card that I think, there's a reason it didn't see play in Standard is because it was banned. And, it was the one, I think it was the one big blast that we just sort of forgot about once it got banned and we couldn't play it because we just sort of, oh well, that card's useless now. And we just sort of forgot about it.
Yeah.
And I think putting it in, I think it should have been a 2 of in mid range.
It's a lot.
I think it should have been a 2 of in pile.
No, I think it should be a 1 of in pile, because you just search for it with 3 memories. You're running 4 of every card. Because you have a cast too. You're already running a second Storm Spark.
You say you're running a 4 of every card, but what if it just ends up in mana because it's the only light thing that you draw for like 3 turns? And there's
I think that's fine. I think it's fine. Because, like, you're not going to mana it against another Haven deck. Because you're going to need it.
You think?
Yeah.
But, I mean, cast, I don't know. It's just
No,
weird.
it's fine.
Like, I think it should have been a 2 of.
I mean, there were times, like, the only time you're searching for a Storm Spark is when, like, cast does the same thing, but you need the Storm Spark because the cast will kind of be in shields sometimes. But then Storm Spark could be in shields and it could just blow your opponent out. But, like, you're not going to cut an Arbiter, I don't think.
No, I don't think Arbiter gets cut at all. I think they both do completely different things. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that was a major card that we just didn't play enough of, just from bracket A and B, respectively. I just don't think it saw enough play because we didn't play in almost anything.
Yeah.
So, whoops.
To be fair, I did argue for, like, the one of the Dave Lorenzo ran to be still included, but Spencer was going to play the deck the most, so he didn't want to play it, and he went. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it should have been a card that got played in Megabugs too.
Ooh, that's a big statement.
Yeah, maybe just as a 1 of. I think it's a card that,
Because you never played that card in Megabugs, like, even when it was legal, right? Like, you just didn't play it.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's so much more hexproof things now, though. Like, hexproof became a problem once Turnip, became a thing, because now you could run Nature and Light and just do a whole lot of hexproof things with the 2.
Yeah, I mean, they gave Turnip evolutions. They shouldn't have done that. Besides, like, the little veggie thing. They gave him, like, real evolutions like Anjac.
Yeah, so I just think Storm Spark should have seen play in almost everything that runs Light, whether it just be a 1 of or a 2 of in most decks. But, I just, again, I don't think we played enough of it, and we really should have. So.
Solid points.
Yeah, moving on. I mean, I guess Light Fire Rush was also part of bracket A, and that we, I really wish like you guys just could have been there to watch, us play it the first time and then the second time because it just 2-0'd the bracket the first time.
Yeah. It was a stomping, like
it was just back and forth. Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, it got the good matchup against the Megabugs, and it just rode that to victory. The first time we played it through, like, it just won.
Yep. Took the place of Pile in the playoffs in the first time we did it.
Yeah. So all you fans of Pile can be glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, so I mean, that's just the coin flip for you, Sometimes it just wins and sometimes it doesn't. It really is a 50-50 deck. Yeah. We sort of proved that a little bit.
Unless it plays against Tempo, then it's like heavily favored. But,
oh yeah, it just wins that game.
Yeah. With only one Tempo deck in the bracket, you gotta win the other ones.
Indeed you do. So, moving on to bracket B. Kalima. We just built that deck all sorts of wrong. Well, not really all. We just missed a lot of crucial cards.
Along with Aggro, the deck that wins 0-2.
Yeah.
But along with Aggro, in the first run-through, like, it did make the top 4. Like, it could have made the top 4.
Yeah, it went 2-1 originally, and then it just didn't win.
Yeah. Oops.
Well, yeah. I think it's just because we got a handle on how to actually play Nature against it.
Yeah, it's a weird deck to play around, for sure.
And then, it somehow beat Esper. Oh yeah, because you were running Cecilia and you. Yeah.
Not only did I build my deck wrong, I also just threw it.
Yeah, you really did.
Bad times.
So yeah, we got a handle on how to actually play Kaijudo, and thus Kalima just didn't win. Poor thing.
Although, like, one could make the argument that maybe we just played Kalima wrong. Who knows? I feel like we definitely built it wrong.
In hindsight, we kind of traded the lesser of two evils. It's like, well, we could just go back and rebuild Kalima, but then we'd have to replay the whole bracket.
Again.
But, the first time, that was the only thing we screwed up the second time in bracket B. The first time was literally everything. We missed lethal in like 2 games. We played Mono Nature completely wrong for like a lot. And
There
Dragons
were
still.
like obscure hands popping into the camera too. Should mention the fact that there were just disembodied hands just like in the screen at some points.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a lot. We had like 4 people, most of which like a little intoxicated at the time, trying to play these 2 decks against each other. We had a lot of clashing thoughts.
At 3 a.m. It was 3 a.m., guys.
Yeah, it got really late. Spencer got pretty drunk, and it's how it went. So, CVH and I just decided to replay the whole damn thing.
Yep.
And thus you have the results of Bracket B now.
Yeah.
That mean Dragons making it through both times 2-0, and then Esper trading spaces with Kalima at the 2-1.
Yeah. Mega Bugs, another deck that just 2-0'd, but well, no. I'm just getting ahead of myself. Sorry, just wrong. I'm just completely wrong.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right,
Yeah.
so
Megabugs did make it through both times, but the first time it made it through 2-0, the second time it made it through 2-1.
So interestingly enough, we know the Dragons in the Rush were like that's the flex spot. Those are like the decks that didn't really have another deck like it. Obviously, there were 2 control decks with Pile and Kalima. There were
You're talking
2.
about how we set up.
Yeah. Like there were 2 control decks, there were 2 tempo decks, and there were 2 mid-range decks with Mono Nature mid-range and Light Dark Nature. Neither of the mid-range decks make it through, but both the tempo decks make it through. Are we surprised?
Not so much. I always thought Tempo had a better matchup versus mid range. Because that was just the way it went in Standard too. Like Tempo usually beat the mid range deck. Like Junk and Esper were the 2 big, heavy hitters for a lot of Season 4 in Kaijudo. And Junk could beat almost everything else, and whenever it got paired up against the Tempo, it usually just lost. So
Yeah, so that efficient bounce removal. And like that actually came into play in both brackets. Like, Megabugs did beat Light Dark Nature, and Esper did beat Mono Nature.
yep,
It just happened. We saw the theory in action.
they were pretty tight. I can't remember how tight Megabugs versus Light Dark Nature was, because
I don't know. We did replay. I feel like it could have been tighter, but it probably was just kind of bad for Light Dark Nature. Like it's one of those things that you would in theory think it would be easier for the mid range deck to come back with the Slayers and stuff, but it just didn't happen.
I mean, going back to Megabugs, like just to touch on that again, when we were first putting this together, the thought process is the Megabug engine just worse than Rule Core and Hexproof things?
Hold up, I have images for you guys. Evolutions, surprise, they're here.
So it's what were the benefits of running bugs if not just for the namesake because it was a part of Kaijudo history for the first 2 seasons? Why run Hive Queen over Rule Core? And I think the decision wound up coming down to Hive Queen does one thing that Rule Core can't, and that's summon Rusaka, the other Rusaka, and Homunculon.
Yeah, when you look at the cards back to back, not only is Rule Core easier to summon, but based on just the effects alone, it does so much more, and the only thing that makes it worse is that little tiny the number right there that's it says 3, level 3 instead of level 4. And as it turns out, there are a couple okay things to play on level 3, but that's definitely intentional. There are so many much better level 4s. That's Keeper of Laws for hexproof bodies. That's
so many much better.
Yeah, just I can't even enough adjectives. I can't even English.
Enough stuff.
Enough stuff, man.
We made it back to that. Jeez, I forgot that was the thing.
But just the Rusalkas, just by themselves, even if it was just Rusalkas, that's huge.
That was the thing. We saw Rule Core was around during Standard. We didn't get Rule Core in Open. It just before Standard was a thing. So we never got to really test the 2 against each other. Rule Core was just better in Standard because we lost Rusaka, or the original Rusaka.
Yeah. That's the good one. That's the better one.
that put Bugs in a real sticky situation. We lost Mana Pod Beetle and we lost Rusaka. 2 cards that Bugs kind of needed in order to be, good. And with all the other Evos running around, even then, putting Rule Core and, say you just replace Rule Core with Hive Queen and Mega Bugs. Rule Core doesn't really grab any other Evos unless you're popping off another rule core off of it.
Yeah,
Like,
we did try like a combination deck with the two. Like when it first, like we were just like, oh, maybe they're still good in conjunction, but it didn't. It's
yeah,
just,
and it got weird. Like you were trying to do too many things. Like rule core is really more of a mid range card because it's just adding cards to your hand and dropping like one extra threat that really doesn't do anything.
yeah.
You're
It
kind
just
of
it evolves into another threat. But like getting
relying on the rest of the field,
Yeah.
do the work for you. Rule core is just adding more things there.
like even if you're using Hive Queen to kill a minion, which is like kind of rare in the matches we saw, but like it can happen in Tempo Mirrors, and like you pop a Rusalka off the top and like bounce another threat, even if it's an evolution, like it's just a huge tempo play. Like that's just completely changing the nature of the board state.
And that in a nutshell is the whole reason Hive Queen got chosen over Rule Core, and why Bugs sort of still has its niche in this open tournament.
I don't think that's the only reason that
No.
that Hive Queen made it through and Rule Core didn't. I think a lot of it's like the water cards, like the Rusalkas, even by themselves, are just so powerful against the mid range cards.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's basically how that
Yeah,
list
for
of
sure. I
cards
mean,
stack up.
Rusalka I mean, it's weird to think about because you go back to Duel Masters and we effectively had a Rusalka out of the first set, but so much of Kaijudo revolved around attacking that just that Rusalka, the 4 for 1,000 little bounce guy, like it's just so powerful. Like you even saw it in Esper versus Kalima, like 2 or 3 Rusalkas, bouncing back the things on top of the fin bars. Like it's too much to handle sometimes. And at 4 mana, it provides that extra body. It's just too good of a tempo card. It really is.
It's just good enough.
It's really good. Oh, so we've effectively covered Megabugs, pretty much bracket A. We talked about Kalima. What else is left?
We could talk about some astonishing trends that occurred. Let me make sure I'm. Well,
And we covered all the decks, right? Mono Nature, there's nothing really else to cover there.
yeah. It kind of like the mid range decks just didn't succeed, and that's kind of why. And we definitely talked about aggro and Kalima. Yeah. So one thing that I noticed when I was talking to Carl, with the way things shook up, let me get this card on the screen, is that Piercing Judgment appears 12 times in the top 4 and 0 times in the decks that didn't make the cut.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we effectively had 12 piercings overall in the tournament. The 4 decks that were running it were running a full playset, and the decks that weren't running it weren't running it at all. And those 4 decks that were running a full playset all made it. So
Yeah.
how neat is that?
Yeah, I think strictly from like a value standpoint, it's definitely the best spell ever printed, and it's like in the running for best card ever printed. Because it's just insane.
We did a top 10 for Kaijudo, right?
Oh yeah.
And that was what, number 2 or 3?
I hope. I hope we didn't put Bottle higher. Like Bottle's insane, but like if we're talking just value over the course of like every deck that runs water wants to play Piercing. Not every deck wants to play Bottle. Megabugs doesn't really want to play Bottle, but it definitely wants to play Piercing. Even if Carl doesn't necessarily think it does the first time he plays it.
Go check out Mark Luden's channel, Rajinku. Yeah, I somehow, like, God, I mean, what were we? We were just so far ahead of the meta at that time. Like, I think Bugs was like a last-minute decision. It's like, oh, this deck's fun, let me play it.
Yeah, I was way behind the meta. I was running the pile.
We just sort of stumbled on tempo. Like, I don't even think we'd even tested tempo that much. I don't even think we knew what tempo fucking meant.
Nope, I don't think so. I think what happened was you played against someone running Megabugs, but it was like a bad version before, and you're like, oh, Hive Queen's really cool, and like we rightfully identified it as good. And I wasn't part of this thinking process at all. You basically just said Hive Queen's good. The deck was bad, but Hive Queen's good. And water cards are also good. I'm gonna put them in the same sleeves. just play them.
I remember my tournaments leading up to it. It was just like, whatever. In South Carolina, I ran 1 Finbar because I was running that red Tatsurian.
Yeah.
The multi-civ Tatsurian that got fast attack if you dropped a fire card in mana. And I was running 1 Finbar in that deck. The next tournament we went to, I don't think it was.
No, you played Lightwater Dark Control with me. It was in Massachusetts, and that's when you played against the Hive Queen deck for the first time.
I did. I played against Hive Queen, and I realized that Finbar was actually pretty good.
Yeah, but the deck you played against ran fire instead of water.
It did, and I was like, well, geez.
Gee willikers. But then I remember going through like Gorby was over, you were over, and you just tested like a bunch of different Hive Queen decks. and like you eventually just settled on the water one. And we still tried to like splash fire, but then we were like, all right, Steam Tank Crion's not actually a good card. We're already gonna fast attack because it's an evolution. Yeah, that's just how it works.
Yeah, and so we sort of stumbled on to, it's like, oh, well, let's just throw 3 fin bars in there because that bounces the thing. And it just sort of worked out. So, who knew? That was like the easiest tournament I'd ever played through. Like, I never felt like I was ever losing.
You only played against aggro once, and all you had to do in that game was just like get a good blast.
No, I bottled into
you did run bottle. See, I just said this deck doesn't want to run bottle, but it wants to run piercing. And here's Carl over there building it for the first time. He's like, I want to run bottle, but I don't want to run piercing, Judge.
Yeah,
and it actually paid off. Never punished. Baby your age.
It was amazing. Oh man.
What do you even bottle into? Like Lyra? Because that was legal. Yeah, Lyra, I guess.
I don't even know if I was running Lyra in the deck at the time.
God, if you were running bottle with no Lyra, you should just be shot.
I probably was, and then I should probably just get shot. But I bottled into Finbar against the aggro deck, and then I just beat it.
I'll do it. That's literally the best thing. If you're not running Lyra, it's like the only thing.
It's literally the best one. So yeah, that was fun. So I think we pretty much beat Megabugs to death. But yeah, back to Piercing. That card is just amazing.
Yeah. It's like an offensive card for tempo, like you just set your opponent back insanely hard. It's obviously like one of the only blasts, along with Arbiter, which was very new into the game, like later in the game it was introduced, and Stormspark, which was just not legal anymore, that actually deals with 2 things at once. Like, what does that? Very few blasts ever.
No, not at all. I mean, look at what was that card? Spiral Gate. That was the 4-drop one, right?
Oh, Veil Vortex.
Veil Vortex, there you go.
It's the water equivalent, same cost, same blast, and it just bounces something. The end.
Yeah.
End of story.
And we used to play that, like back when there were only like 3 sets out. We were like, oh, this card's pretty good. It bounces the thing and it's a spell. Hooray.
Yeah, it's like mildly playable. Bounce the threat. Call it a day. But Piercing, you can play it on curve and not feel bad about yourself. You just guild the entire board's just gone.
It beats the hexproof things. Like Laws. That's the only one. It can't do anything to turn up. But it's like, oh, they've summoned a 3-drop and now a Laws. Oh, I'll bounce the 3-drop and now there's nothing else on the board to protect Laws, so we'll tap Laws and kill it. Like, it's just, it's such a good card. Like, oh my god. It just did so much for the game. Like, there were so many just good effects and good things that Piercing could set up and do. So.
Yeah, and like besides the fact that you had to run it in control to deal with the opposing Laws, because like without that, you're just gonna lose the Laws.
And, like, the tap effect, like, it was really good. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's what set it over the top. It's like, oh, we'll give it a tap effect. But, like, how many times have you just Piercing Judgment just to bounce something? It's so versatile. It's just really good, guys.
It's just nuts.
It's just really good. And that's why there's 12 in the top 4 and none in the bottom 4. So.
And you can even bounce your own guy. Just in case it didn't have enough utility, you could just say, oh, maybe I want to, get my Andromeda back to my hand.
Yeah, I forgot
it.
You can do that.
Yeah, I'm reading it right now. That's why I know. But yeah, just in case.
Just bounce, cast back, and tap everything down again, because I don't want to win in
Why not? Why not? Yeah.
I just want to fatigue you.
Yeah, I just want to wait until the shop is, like, trying to kick us out. Till, like, this damn KMC's happening, and I was trying to go home to my family, but this person decided to bounce their own Cassiopeia.
Tell me you fell into that at some point.
No. Oh, all the shops are really happy to have us.
Yeah. Because we always took all their stuff. Oh, man. We were pretty good at Kaijudo, I'd have to say.
After we just got done that 10-minute rant on Bottle and Megabugs, we're going to say that. Just throw it out there.
I mean, shit. Can anyone else come at us?
Yeah, Joe.
Does anyone else want to? Does anyone else watch these videos?
Joe's not watching.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, like, you see the decks that didn't make the cut. I mean, do we just think that the top 4 decks are the 4 most powerful decks out of the 8? The more powerful decks?
I mean, it's 2 of my favorite decks. Like, I love Megabugs. Like, that's always been my baby. Ever since, I went to PA with it. I've always run some sort of tempo. Like, it's what I've had the most success with. So I absolutely love Light Water Nature and, Megabugs or whatever other variant. I've had a lot of fun with it, and Hive Queen is just my favorite card in the game. But, Dragons, too, is just, I enjoy degenerate decks. I enjoy being behind them and just, just beating the shit out of people because...
Yeah, a lot of people didn't like that in Kaijudo, but as it turns out, just playing whatever the best deck is, it has some perks.
It's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, besides...
Tournament, I was just sitting there just doing bottle things and summoning big-ass dragons.
Yeah,
watching all the Rust players just cry.
besides just winning, like
A
they
lot
just
of
seems unfair a lot of the time, and that's fun.
Like, I don't mind being behind unfair things, and playing against it too. Like, it is what it is. Like, if you don't want to play the unfair deck, don't get pissed that you're playing against it. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for reference, Carl played a Hearthstone tournament. I told him to play mid-range Druid, didn't even bat an eye. He's like, yeah, I'm jamming Druid. I'm just gonna do unfair things. My opponent's gonna get pissed. I don't even care. It's just gonna happen.
Yeah, not at all. Let's just play the best things and do well. Like, there's
Yeah.
no reason not to.
Unless they're secretly bad, but they weren't. They were just good.
So those are my two favorite decks. Mega Bugs and Dragons. They're just Mega Bugs, just in terms of just being, the tempo thing that I was always the most comfortable with, and Dragons for being the most degenerate. They were both really fun, and I enjoyed both decks thoroughly. So yeah, I'd say the top four is pretty stacked. I'd say those are probably like the better four. Kalima was kind of hit or miss. I think if we built it better, it could fall into that
Yeah.
fourth spot perhaps.
But even if you build it perfectly, it strikes me as something that is just going to have inconsistent draws sometimes. That's just the nature of the deck, of no draw and 10 drops being your win condition.
Exactly. And then, Rush is always 50-50. I don't think it ever deserves to be in a top position. I think Rush was...
I think top four would have been okay. I was okay with that. Objectively, I think it would have been okay over Pile, but that's just not the way it's shaked down.
Well, no, I mean, again, that's the thing. Like, all the other decks that are in the bottom, the bottom half of the top 8, like, I think they all deserve, like, to be at that fourth spot.
Yeah, I mean, they all did win a lot of events in their prime.
But I'm just saying, Rush has always been the 50-50. So, like, I don't think it should win the tournament. I don't think it should be last place in the tournament. But I don't, it's just, it should be somewhere right there at the fifth or fourth spot, and that should be it.
That's like exactly how you did in Champs 3 when you actually played Rush. Like, you weren't the absolute bottom, and you definitely didn't come close to the top 8.
I made top 4 day 1. Like, I went 5-1. I lost it.
Paladin of the ass.
What?
Sorry, that wasn't me.
Oh.
But, yeah.
Yeah, like I went 5-1 against John Johnson. And I just couldn't win a game day 2. Like, it's exactly how Rush was supposed to be, and it felt right. Like, I left, I was disappointed.
Yep.
I was like, I went 5-4, so I guess this is what I get for playing Rush.
I was even able to stall Richard Yan in the finals long enough for him to not win with Rush.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Like, objectively, the Pile seems like the deck that shouldn't work out of the two, but from just a viewer standpoint, I'm actually pretty glad it made it in, because it's really, really fun to watch when it just gets out of control.
It's because, like, so many big things. Just so
So many
much.
big
And that's the thing. Pile was always a deck. Like, Pile never stopped being a deck over the entirety of Kaijudo.
Even
Like,
when it was just, like, not okay to play it, in the first set people did it.
That's what I'm saying. The first KMC we went to, we ran 48 or 49 card decks because I think we decided to put a Veil Vortex in. That was the thing.
And, like, the one person we lost to was Jera. Well, I mean, I lost to some other BS, but I want to talk about, like, the one person you lost to in the finals, in the Lightwater Dark Mirror match, was Jera, and he was just splashing root traps, I think, and just running more cards than you. He had more threats and more answers. Just more cards.
Yeah, it was literally 54 cards, and I'm pretty sure he fatigued me the first game. Like, I'm pretty sure if you go back and watch that video on my channel, it's almost an hour long.
Yeah, I was there because I had already gotten eliminated, and I was like, wow, I wish this would just kind of end so we could leave, so I could sulk in the hotel room
Yeah.
that we fucking flew to.
Yeah, we did. We were so excited for Kaijudo.
I know.
Oh, man. Where's that? I want to feel that again.
I'm sorry.
I can't even remember what it feels like.
I'm feeling it for DreamHack. I'm sorry. You don't want to feel it with me.
No. My roommate's home.
Oh, nice.
Not to interrupt this video. But, yo, what's
That
up?
is an incredibly loud door.
Right?
So, what was I going to say? Besides that, like, yeah, I mean, the only thing that stopped the Pile raining, like, on all of our parades, and Dragons to an extent, was just the introduction to Finbar. Like, Finbar gave Tempo hope, and as we can see from this tournament, it still didn't completely stop the Pile, because, while it might lose to Tempo, it still can beat most other things pretty kind of consistently.
Yeah, it's got all the tools it needs to do anything, because that's the idea behind it. So, like,
Pretty much. If you need to run something else just because you think it's going to be a good meta call, that's fine. Just find another sleeve, and you're good to go.
yeah, that's what it comes down to. Oh man, what a fun deck! At the
Yeah.
end of the like, we really should have run the 100 card pile. I don't know why we never did that.
Oh man, can we use that one in like the next time we do this bracket tournament? Like cut the pile for the 100 card pile?
I don't even know if we could find like 100 cards. Like, I don't even think I have that many cards left.
No, we do. We'll just use the cube if we're running out, but I think that should be fun.
Start running random things.
Like even playing it, like when I got to play the pile when Spencer wasn't there, like at a certain point, like you lose some games, but the games you don't lose, you win in style. Like you win with 11 shields, 7 things on board, and they all triple break because why not?
Yeah. Oh man.
Every turn, you have the choice between playing another giant thing that they can't deal with, clearing their board, or finally winning the game, and you never choose the third one. It's always the other two.
Let's just make them suffer.
Yeah.
Suffer. You're never gonna deck out because your deck's just fucking huge. So.
You can get as close as you want. It doesn't matter unless you draw that last card. It's fine.
Oh, wow. So yeah, I think Pile. I mean, Pile definitely deserves its spot. I think.
And it is funny that you said light. It's funny that you said Dragons and Megabugs were your favorites because Tempo and Pile were my favorites, like the Light Water Dark Tempo. So we had like 2 different favorites.
Yeah, it's we piloted our decks, I guess, to victory. It's not like we intentionally made any of the other decks lose, but like looking back at like the mid-range decks, like they just did, I don't think they have what it takes. Light
I
Dark.
really wanted to see Junk do well, Light Dark Nature.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that though. Versus Tempo, it doesn't have the tools it really needs. It never really did. It was always.
I thought it did.
Well, that's the thing. It was always like I felt like it was always like 60-40, favored for Tempo. Like Light Dark Nature could sort of. I mean, it could win, like, because that's the thing. They all ran effectively the same cards. It's just you traded Dark for Water.
Yeah.
But
There's
Water.
definitely a reason you played it in the 4th champs. Like you did think it was a great deck.
Yeah, I did, and I just thought it had because there were so many other like rando decks running around, and I just thought Junk had more tools to like deal with things. Like what was that one deck? There was the Fresh Ave, whatever the hell that was.
Yeah. Which you still lost to. I don't really know how.
I don't know either because I couldn't win against Ricky's team to save my life at all.
Zach Landis, man, he just had your number.
Zach Landis and Josh Hackler, man, I couldn't beat a single one of them ever. But regardless, like I don't think like mid range, especially versus the pile too. I mean, we saw how polarizing that was. Like it just doesn't beat the pile. Like it just can't.
Because you're playing the threat game and they're playing the Haven game. Good luck, buddy.
And then against Rush or Dragons, like it's just Dragons has so much advantage just because it's amazing, and Rush is just. Can I beat Rush? Can I win that coin flip? And can I get the Slayer on turn 3? That's really what it comes down to. So I don't think either of the mid ranges really had what it took to win.
Maybe we'll see one try again next bracket tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I think Mono Nature probably won't see play again next bracket tournament. In lieu of maybe like Fresh Ave or maybe another like Water. That Alex Blue deck or whatever.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking about it, we could definitely switch up these to be like, a lot of the decks we are thinking about. If you have any things in the comments you want to talk about, any decks you really want to see, feel free to talk about them again. I think things like Mono Light Rush maybe would be sweet.
Yeah.
Alex Blue.
That got a lot of tools. Like I don't even think I have the cards for that anymore because that got a lot of like interesting promos right at the end that never really saw play because the game died. But,
yep, we're gonna have to. Alex Blue, Fresh Ave, stuff like that would be nice.
Yeah, just switch it up and
Greed Dragons.
That could be fun. Who knows? Just run the Monarch pile deck, 100-card pile deck with 3 of each Monarch.
I mean, if you're running 100 cards, you kind of have to be running all 15.
Yeah, we'll throw in like 4 or 5 bottles. It'll be great.
Immolators for no reason. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. So, have we touched on everything? Is that everything?
I think so.
I think we
did. Yeah.
We talked about the mid-range decks not really being able to make it. Russian Dragons got their highlight. The tempos are in just because they're tempo-y. Piercing's amazing. Pile's the pile.
Yeah, but moving forward, only one tempo's going to make top 2. And either Light Water Dark Nature or Light Water Fire Dragons is going to make top 2.
We speculated on Dragons and Pile, but your thoughts on the Light Water Dark Nature versus the Light...
I mean, I think it's really close. I like Light Water Dark Tempo more against a lot of other decks. I think Light Water Nature Megabugs is like... I don't know. I think it's like a better deck against the Tempo Mirror. But like I think that's like a really really close matchup. It really comes down to who draws what and who draws what win.
Well, I mean, it really comes down to both the big Evos. It's like, are you going to get Sasha on time, or is my Hive Queen going to put your board away?
Yeah, if this is still like in a tournament meta like where people are playing, I would say it comes down to who plays better because it's really a skill intensive matchup. But since it's us playing, I have almost all the faith in the world that we can do it.
Yeah,
If
I
I'm
mean,
playing right.
it's the end of the day, like, we'll call each other out for our plays. Like,
Yeah.
we said it at the beginning. This is about the decks, not about, me versus Christian. So,
Mhm. But yeah, if you have an idea of who you think's going to be doing well, I mean, the decks rather, not us. Carly, you still there?
yeah.
Good. You're just completely frozen. Oh, no, you're different now. That was weird. You'll see that when you upload this.
All
But
right.
but yeah, if you have any thoughts on what you think's going to do well, leave well, you can leave a comment, but make sure you go vote in that poll that we discussed last video.
Yeah, for sure. Go over there and leave.
Leave a vote. Leave
Go to-
YouTube.
Go to the poll on Facebook. Vote for which deck you want to see win. The playoff matches will be coming up over the course of this week. And yeah, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. This has been I don't know how long this video is because I can't see.
35 minutes.
35 minutes, so like a nice little discussion video. It's about how long it should be. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And leave your comments down below so we can reply to them. I've been trying to do that. I do that at work, actually. I hope nobody, I hope D or whoever my bosses aren't watching this, but pretty much I reply to all of your comments while I'm at work. So
Yep.
leave those, and I will get back to you. For sure.
And maybe me too.
Maybe
Alright.
even CVH, who knows. But yeah, I think that'll be it for us from here. So check out CVH on all of his Twitch things.
Yeah, and check out Carl on his Facebook things. And stay tuned for more matches and the top 4. We are so hyped.
We are. It's pretty exciting. So I don't know if we're gonna go through and narrate those or not.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I guess we're gonna narrate them. So we'll see you guys for those coming up soon.
Peach.
Each.